Okay, so let me do some introduction. No, it's okay. How many people do we have here? It's a good number, so I'm happy. And so, welcome to the workshops. I don't know how many of you are coming back tomorrow. Are you coming tomorrow? Yeah. Okay, good. How many are you from Berlin? That's good. How many are from Germany? Okay, how many from Poland? Where's everybody from?
Sweden.
Sweden. Okay, I like Sweden. I've been to Göteborg. Oh, nice. So, I'm Aris. I'm the founder and organizer of Cityjs worldwide, aside from London. And this is the first time we're doing it in Berlin. We had a meetup last night. And this is a free workshop by our sponsors. And it's not so much like I would say sales pitch. It's more of learning something and last show you something related. But the stuff that Dwane is going to be doing is about web components. And I really like this workshop. It's very, we have been doing it for quite a while now. And everybody likes it. And you changed a couple of times. There are more people coming in, you can see from the window. So enjoy. Bye from me.
So,
Give a big clap for Dwane.
my name is Dwane. I'm a JavaScript developer advocate at Vonage, and I get to do and build cool stuff like web components. And so we're going to talk about web components, and you find it cool by the end of this. All right. And so I try to make it as interactive as possible, these workshops. So feel free to check out myworkshops.live, because like I was saying before, that's where my workshops are when I'm live. And they're also where they live when I'm not doing a workshop. So because live and live are the same in English, spelled the same. So neither here nor there. All right. So if you go there, it'll look something similar to this, right? And you'll know my website because there's always like a little character of me somewhere in the corner. And so you'll want to click where it says enter Cityjs Berlin. And if you notice, just real quick, you see how we have these different like time things here, and that one says live now? That's a web component. We'll talk about that later. So that's pretty cool. So foreshadowing. So you click enter, and it's going to ask you for like a username and a password, whatever you want. And then the password is Cityjs, all one word. And then I will see something like this. This is like my little dashboard I made back here, so I can kind of see stuff. Let me enable this audio thing real quick, because hopefully when you log in, there will be a section. Shout out to Victor, thank you for coming through. I am using like the speech recognition API that's built into Chrome browsers and like Google Translate. So maybe accurately what I'm saying returned to German. If it says anything naughty or bad, it's not my fault, and I'm sorry. I'm just going to apologize in advance, but it's the internet. So, oh wow, okay, a bunch of people. Very nice. Okay, a bunch of people. All right, cool. So, let me get a thumbs up. Let me make sure. There should be like a little thumbs up button. Yes. All right. Nice. Okay. Cool. So I didn't break it yet. All right. Good. So let's get started. So this is what you should be seeing, right, on your side. Cool. So let's build a personal Twitch. How many people are familiar with Twitch? All right, so it's like a live streaming platform that people go live and they have chats and they speak with people. This is a personal Twitch because Twitch is a huge application and they have like tons of engineers working on it. We're just going to do something very simple where you can like broadcast yourself to other people that want to watch, kind of, on a web page. All right, so but for all that, let us. Cool. So who's heard of web components? Did the slide switch? Hopefully. They did. Okay, awesome. Oh, very nice. Okay, so I don't know what y'all are here for. I mean, you've heard of it. Okay. All right. So thank you for voting. So the goal of this is going to be like a general understanding, which I guess a bunch of you already have. We're going to show some value. We're going to create and integrate some stuff, and then I'm going to show you some resources if you'd like to learn more. Cool. So anybody who has a GitHub account? Because that'd probably be important. Oh, the internet's super quick. This is it's okay. Very nice. Cool. And if not, you can always sign up there. So if you don't have one, hit that link. You'll be able to sign up. Cool. So now, maybe asking yourselves, what's the whole point of this? Are web components a thing yet, right? And so, because it's the internet, it's a website as well. So, and shout out to Westbrook Jay, he put me onto it. So what we're gonna do is, well, the short answer is yes, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll up on this page, and then you're gonna see a bunch of logos of people using web components. When you see a logo you recognize, I would like you to say ding. All right, so let's practice. I'm gonna scroll up on this page. You see a logo you recognize, you say
Ding.
very nice. All right, good job. Okay, cool. So here we go. No, keep going. We got a while. We're only in F's. Nice. Remixed. And that Wordle one, that thing like sold for like $1 billion. So I mean, you know, web components can make you some money. Don't hold me to that though. All right. So also another example is YouTube. If you ever look at the source of YouTube, you'll see all these different like YTD hyphen something elements. Ain't a good indicator of maybe you're looking at web components, or you'll see like a hyphen. And it'll be like some random thing you've never even heard of before. So that's kind of like a good indication that you're looking at a web component, right? We'll talk about why that is. Also, GitHub. So you ever, when you push, everybody has a GitHub account. So when you push to GitHub or you do like a PR or what have you, you notice like however many seconds ago, how many months ago, or whatever ago, those are web components. And so you can see here the time hyphen ago, and they like it so much that they actually like open sourced it. So you can always, if you would like to do the same thing, you have the time hyphen elements. If you'd like to go ahead and try it for yourself. Cool, all right. And then this one here, Photoshop on the web. Has anybody played with Photoshop on the web yet? It just came out of beta. It's kind of amazing. So just real quick. So this here, like the original picture was just like this square. And I was able to use like generative AI to fill all this other stuff out. It is in the web. It's the web. No thing on your desktop. This is the web. It's amazing. I'm kind of geeked about it. So you can see here. So like this download button is actually this SP hyphen button, because Adobe has their own set of web components called Spectrum web components, and so they use those in their applications on the web. So that way, each application kind of has like its own same feel. And so if they need to change something, they can kind of change across the whole thing. What have you? So everything be kind of like disparate and different, and not aligned with like their standards. So they can use it for design systems basically. So that's what they're using it for. And you can use them as well. Again, they're Spectrum web components. All right. You know what? I didn't. How much time do I have? Let me double check something. Let me make sure I don't go over. All right. Cool. All right. So, have you ever used like the video element, audio element, or the one personal favorite, the details elements? You ever wondered like when you just put in like video and source, you get a fully functional video player? Like you don't have to do anything. You don't have to worry about the buttons, the timer, the volume, full screen, none of that. It just works. It's kind of like what web components do. So imagine being able to create your own element that does whatever that you want, and somebody else can just use and don't have to worry about all this other stuff. Same thing like the audio player and then details. Like you don't have to worry about like adding event listeners or anything to make that work. Cool. So another cool example that I've come across is a model viewer. And with model viewer, you can take 3D models and just place them on the internet, and you're able to interact with them. Pretty cool. I don't need to know anything about WebXR, VR, augmented reality, WebGL, none of that. The actual web component does that for me. So that's kind of amazing. And you're like, oh, that's cool. Like it's a low-fi, low-poly model. That's cute and all, but you can't do any real work with it, right? So you can take a look at the actual website. This is Neil Armstrong's scan of his suit that went to the moon. And you can see it is very detailed. You got reflections in the buttons. You can see space in the helmet. You know what I'm saying? You see the dirt on the bottom of the feet. So you can do a lot of really cool stuff with it, right? So, and that's all web components. You don't have to do anything to get this working. Just like with the source, like with the video, you have the model hyphen viewer. You have the alt tags because accessibility is important. And here's the source. And there's a .glb file, which is like a 3D file. You can set it for augmented reality. There's all these different cool things that you don't have to worry about to make it actually work. It just works. You put a little bit of JavaScript so the browser understands what's happening. And we'll go over that as well. All right, so that's model viewer. I thought it was so cool that I actually made a WebXR tic-tac-toe game out of it with voice chat. And so I'm gonna play a little video real quick. So it's at xoxr.games. I was able to create everything in like a week. And I have a talk tomorrow about how I created everything and all the different parts. And spoiler, I use model viewer for it. And so as you can see right there, I have an augmented reality in one thing, and then through my phone, and then I have my tablet there. I'm able to play a game of tic-tac-toe back and forth with it using like the Vonage APIs as to kind of like connect everything, but using WebXR and model viewer, I was able to set that up pretty quickly. Cool. All right. So yeah, you can always go to xoxr.games and play the game if you like. It's on the internet. All right. So as you can probably tell, I like to make projects, right? Just random things. Sometimes too many projects. And for each project, I'd like to have like an about section that kind of talks about what I used to build it, right? But having to build one for each separate one just kind of became terrible. And I didn't want to have to keep doing that, right? Because it's just like a chore at the end of it. I just want to build stuff. So I was like, hey, you know what? Cool thing about web components is that they can be very reusable. And so I created a Dwane-made web component to where it fetches data from the endpoint of the project that I set up. And there I can pull in the about, what I built it with, any updates. And if you want for more information, you can check out more stuff. So one cool thing about web components, super reusable. Another cool thing is that you can have the same web component and use it for multiple different functions, use cases. And so, for example, like another of my favorite elements, HTML elements, the input, right? The input does so much, and we don't even like appreciate it as much as it does. So, I mean, just by changing the attribute type, you get a button, you get date, time. Imagine we all know how difficult it is working with time on the internet, right? It's terrible. And you get this for free just by setting type, date, time, local. You get a fully functional calendar, get some date and time. Also, you get the radio checkbox, and then this one here. Imagine the CSS you would have to try and create to get this gradient here, and then try to pull the information and all this stuff. Again, shout out to the input button, and then you can upload files and there's the text. All right. So another cool thing is that you can use the same web component for multiple uses. My use case was, again, time. You never know like how much you work with time until you're actually working with time. And so I didn't want to have to keep working with it. So I just did one time, create a Dwane-timer web component to where I can use it in multiple different scenarios and it just works. So for example, I did this thing, this one website, it actually shows you like the date and time in your local area of an event that I have coming up. After you can set a timer, like a limit, where it'll turn into a countdown timer, which is that. And then similar to what we saw before when we went to myworkshops.live, which is this, it has the actual date and time of the event in your local time zone. And then it turns into a counter. And then once the counter reaches 0, it says live now, like we saw before. So you can do a bunch of stuff with one web component if you so choose. So now, if you want to check out certain examples of collections, you can. I have some links there. You can always check those out. All right, now, are web components getting any cooler for anybody? How do y'all feel about it? Very nice. All right. Okay. So cool. Let me check if there's any questions. Again, if you have any questions, you can just type them in and then let me know. Is the German thing working? Is that translation happening or no?
Yeah, it's translating.
Okay, is it terrible?
Not
that great.
No, it's okay.
What is it? 9 boots?
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. I'm sorry. All right, so cool. So now let's talk about what makes a web component. We saw who's using it, how I'm using it. Let's talk about what actually goes into making a web component. So there's 3 different like web standards that come into making a web component. There's custom elements, shadow DOM, and HTML templates. What's cool is you can use these separately if you so choose, but coming together, they form web components. So here we go. So custom elements, like I was saying before, a good indication of whether or not you're coming across a web component. Oh, by the way, if you want to join myworkshops.live. I don't know if you have laptops. So you need to have a hyphen, also known as like kebab case, because single word like elements are reserved just for the web, for browsers. You can't just, because then everybody would have like their own video or whatever, or H1, and it'd just be chaos. It would be terrible. So you need to have a hyphen or a dash in the name. So what's Custom Elements API, what it does, it's a class that defines the behavior of your web component, so what it does. But then you can also, if you'd like to kind of like let's say you have a button, like you want to create your own fancy button, my-fancy-button, right? You're able to extend from the button class. So that way you have all the different like click events and all these different things built into your web components, so it's like a starting point, right? But a lot of times you just use the HTML like element-based class, and then that way you get all the good stuff. We'll see an example of that. So, and then so it kind of like the custom element API takes your tag name with a hyphen and like attaches it to the behavior of your web component. So the name and the behavior, the custom elements API puts that together so that when the browser sees it, it knows what to do with it. All right. The shadow DOM, it provides encapsulation, or as Paul Lewis said, it contains the gross. So all like the randomness that is happening inside of your web components, the outer application doesn't need to know about it. The person using it doesn't need to know about it because everything's encapsulated, right? Now, another cool thing about the shadow DOM is that you're able to take like ordinary plain old events and then rename them or remap them to something more like meaningful to the outer application. So let's say you have like a voting app, right? And you have a button where you click it and it submits a vote, right? Well, it's a click event or submit, and that's cool, but you can remap it using the shadow DOM to be like vote. So that the outer application can listen for the vote events, and that's a little bit more meaningful, like, oh, this is coming from this actual element kind of thing. Instead of listening for like submit and event and trying to figure it out, you can actually make it something more meaningful. Cool. All right, now HTML templates. This one's pretty cool because you can use it without, you can just use it. Have anybody used like the template tags before? Yeah, it's pretty cool because anything you put in between the template tags, the browser's like, I don't care. You just kind of ignore it, right? So you have all this different markup in there. Browser wasting no time with it. And what you can do is you can then clone that whenever you need it with JavaScript and then use it. So you have a whole bunch of stuff on your page, doesn't matter. When you need it, use some JavaScript, clone it, and you're good to go. So like I said, it's used to efficiently render HTML and update it when the user interacts with a web component. But then things, you know, like templates can get very complex. And so sometimes you may just want to use a library, and we'll talk about the different libraries and framework tools that we can use. So that's HTML templates. So let's talk about an example real quick. All right, okay, let me go by fast. Okay, so GOAT, greatest of all time. You familiar with that term? Right, cool. So give me the greatest musical group of all time, in your opinion. Queen, that's a good one.
Spice Girls.
Queen, nope. They're okay, I guess. Space Ghost?
Spice Girls.
Spice Girls, very nice. Nope. They're okay, I guess. So, of course, once I say it, you're all going to know, right? So, Outkast. Of course, the greatest group of all time is Outkast. Yup. And then Outkast, you're right. So, I want you to notice something. So, this H1 tag here, this header is green. This one is blue. And when I click it, it turns red. That's going to be important. Let me show you. Okay, so let's take a look at the HTML real quick. Here, we just have the GOAT group, the thing there, the title. H1 tag was the greatest group of all time, right there. Then we have input, ID, group, sub input, which is this. And then we have the submit button. And then we have this GOAT-group. Again, there's a hyphen, and GOAT-group isn't a thing I've ever come across before. So, weapon point. And then we have this slot here, this like an attribute guess, and it's not set to anything because there was no guess. And then we have a little thinking phase that's kind of like in between the tags, which is that one there. Okay, so the actual web point is this thing here, right there. All right, the thinking phase, and then the city. A little bit of CSS. You can see the H1 is green. Cool. JavaScript. So I like to get a reference to all the different like elements at the top. That's what I like to do. And so you notice there's the submit button. There's the submit input. We have the goat group element, which I want to draw your attention. It's just goat-group. You don't have to do anything specific or different to get a reference to an element because it's just like a regular element in the eyes of the browser, right? And so the same way I had IDs on these. So then I'm adding an event listener to the button. When you click it, we're going to take the group submit input, which is here. We're going to set the attribute on the goat group element, the web component, that guess that we saw before, and we're going to set that to the value. Set attribute, again, just like any other element, because it is just like any other element, all right? And then we set the input to nothing afterwards. All right, any questions? Feel free to, yeah, I guess you could call them that, yeah. They don't really do anything like super special. I mean, well, yeah, you can set like the column and stuff like that, the text area. Well, the question was, are text areas kind of like web components? Yeah, I mean, you can do certain stuff. Do they have methods on them? Not sure, but yeah, everything's web. By the end of this, I want you to see everything's a web component. Like, you know, the meme, we're going to space, but like here, everything's a web component. All right, so back to this. Now, we have this window event listener. We have this guest. That's not something we've ever come across before, right? It's kind of weird, right? Guest. We'll see where that comes from. We have an event, and that's doing alerts with the detail from that event, all right? Now, I could have put the template tag inside of that HTML, but I just used JavaScript because I'm using JavaScript anyway, so I just created a template tag, basically, all right? Then, here's all the goodness that describes the behavior of our web component. So this is the class goat group. It extends the HTML element because it had a bunch of different stuff in there. So that's why I kind of just extended the HTML element. I could have done like button, if it was just a button or whatever, but I used HTML element. So you want to, because we're changing the guess on the attribute on our web component, right? And so that's why we have the static get observed attribute. So it's going to kind of like look for that, all right? So that's the get. So it's like an array of strings of the different attributes. Then we have the constructor. How many people are familiar with like React? You know, there's always like, well, I don't know if they do that. But these got the constructor, you know, all this other stuff now. So there's always like the super that gets you all of the HTML element goodness, like methods and properties. And then we're going to take that clone. We're going to make a clone of the template tag that we had. We're going to use a shadow DOM. We're going to make that open. We're appending it to the shadow root, again, which is part of the shadow DOM of our web component. So that's why, because normally it's like this document or whatever, but we're talking about web components, shadow DOM is the shadow root, all right? So we're appending that clone into, so we're putting that into there, and then, so then we're gonna add this event listener, so that's when I clicked it, it turned red, all right? So we have this connected callback. Whenever the element is added to the DOM, the connected callback is fired, and so I set the color of the thing to blue. Cool. And then now, whenever the attribute change, when we hit that submit button, we change the guest attribute. And so that'll fire, because we're observing it, the attribute change callback. And so we get the name of the attribute, we get the old value and the new value. So we can like always like compare them if you want. And then, so I have this thing, if it's like nothing, don't do anything. Otherwise, if it's like lowercase outcast, I'm putting it in lowercase so you can see if you want to get funny with capitalization. The shadow root query selector. So same thing like document.query selector. Again, we're in the shallow realm. So it's shadow root dot query selector. I get the H1 now in our template. I set the inner text to the uppercase of the value, which is outcast, and that's what we have it there. And then we get the verdict, which is this here, and I set that inner text to the right. And here is the cool part where I dispatch a custom event. And so we have this new custom event guest, which is what we're listening for on the window. And then the detail is yup. That's why I popped up saying yup. And then it bubbles through the web component to the outer realm. And so it composes as it needs to go through the light DOM. We're able to listen to it on the window. Because again, if you want, you can have everything, memory encapsulation, but there's certain things you can do to have them come out into the light DOM. into our application. Let's see. And if it goes wrong, I say nope and same thing basically. All right. And then when you remove the actual web component, disconnected callback, it gets called and it's been removed. All right, then here is where all the custom elements API stuff happens. So take the custom elements and we define it. Here's the name and the behavior. So this kind of ties everything all together down here. All right, cool. Now I want you to notice also, notice how this was blue when I clicked it, it turned red. This still here, and they're all H1s, it still stayed green. And that's because, again, because of the shadow bound, it encapsulates all the randomness that's happening within it. So you don't have to worry about our application being affected through styles or whatever, unless you want to. And we'll talk about how you can style it as well. But there's that. Now, that was kind of a lot of boilerplate, right? So overall, what's happening is that we have your custom element. The user's application is here on the outside, all right? You're able to pass in properties and attributes. You can listen for custom events, and there's different methods you can call on your web component. Cool. So, our web component's still cool. We still doing all right here? We doing okay? Very nice, very nice. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. I'm gonna go before somebody says no. All right, now, like we were saying, that's kind of like a lot of boilerplate, right? And as developers, we see a lot of boilerplate. What we do, we build frameworks on top of it and tools to try to make it easy as possible, right? A little bit easier for folks. And so there's this website that kind of collects all the different tools to create web components to where you can just try them out. Like you click a button, you be able to check out the structure, you can play around with it. Everything's like what do you call this? Like a counter. And so for whatever reason, web components, their hello world is kind of like counters. And we'll take a look at that. But anybody want to guess about how many different ways as of, we're in November? Holy crap, it's November. In November 2023, how many different ways, according to webcomponents.dev, are there of creating web components? You probably scroll down and cheated, but it's fine. So yeah, see, I know, but it's fine. You go ahead and guess, it's fine. Anybody want to guess? Anybody? It's fine. You can be silent, it's fine. Go ahead. 64. Yeah, there you go. How'd you know? And so yeah, so what's cool is again, so we have stuff like I'm a fan of Stencil. Fast comes from Microsoft. LWC. Everybody familiar with like Salesforce and stuff? They have their own set of web components called Lightning Web Components. Lit comes from Google. Used to be called Polymer if you're from back in the day. Preact, you can create web components. You can create web components. Yada yada yada. A bunch of stuff. And there's that thing I'm talking about. All right. So like I said, the hello world is pretty much a counter, which is pretty cool because you can actually see by being able to click. It's interactive. This thing changes. And let me. Where is it? Oh, come on. Okay, let me just open this thing. I want you to see the actual code. Let me see. All right, so here's the actual guts of it. And so they're doing the same through JavaScript, creating a template tag. So here's their template. Here's their actual class here. Again, they're extending the HTML element. In their template, you can see we have the button decrement, we have increment, and here's the value here. And we're setting that value in the constructor to 0. And then we're attaching the shadow down there. Connected callback, once it's actually added, you see they're appending the template to the shadow root, and then they're adding the event like listeners for on-click increment and decrement, and assigning it to like the methods here. All right, cool. And then also update this count. Then the increment function is that it increases count, right? But it also updates it. Updates just basically sets the inner HTML. Probably did like inner text, but it sets that there to the actual count. That's pretty much everything. And it wraps up the whole goodness with the custom elements that define the name and the behavior. Cool. So now, again, it's kind of boilerplate. So what we're going to do is, another cool thing. So 64 different ways of creating web components. If you're on a team and everybody's choosing their own, it can get kind of hectic, right? And then you're like, wait, who did what with where did this go? Open web components kind of like takes all that away from you and like scaffolds a project for you. So if you're working on a project and everybody's on the same page, open web components, they kind of like have it to where they're best practices. And so they have like testing and all this other stuff there for you. It sets up the file structure so that everybody's on the same page when you create a new web component. So that way anybody can go and look at another web component and know and expect where things are. and how things work. Cool, so you can check out open-wc.org. They use a thing called Lit, which is from Google, and we'll take a look at that. Now, it's all well and good to have this on your local machine or like in a browser somewhere, but you want to be able to publish it so other people can use it, right? And so just like when you npm install something, you can do the same thing with your web component, and npmjs.com is the place you can publish it, just like a library or a framework or any other JavaScript stuff. So there's that. Now, sometimes you're not able to npm install stuff, right? And so that's why we have content delivery networks or CDNs. And so the same way you can like link to a library, you can do the same thing with your web component. So for places like CodePen, we can't like npm install stuff. You want to try something out, you use a CDN to get that, to kind of go around that. And then, so some of them are JS Deliver, Skypack.dev, and Unpackage. Cool. So now let's build something. All right. So one of the first things I built at Vonage was a keypad, because what we do is we help like real-time communications, right? And one of those things is like audio. And so I thought it'd be cool for people to be able to use a keypad, maybe like dial a phone number in the application, right? Instead of having to go through and setting up an input box and the numbers and having the actual event listeners on the numbers and doing all those stuff, you just put a VC keypad and you have everything that you need there. So I used OpenWC to kind of scaffold everything, and then Lit to kind of build the web component because that's what OpenWC uses. And I have different attributes on there. Oh, this is the actual web component here, so I can mind it. So it's actually in mind. So yeah, you should be able to like play around with it as well. So I have the placeholder, which is this here. The keys you can change. There's action text, which is this, which starts the action. Cancel text is when you want to stop it. And then if you don't want the asterisk or the hashtag, you can do that. Or if you don't want the display, the input, you can get rid of that as well. There's a method, create action, which starts it and changes it to where you want to stop it. And then custom events. And so digit added, digit sent, and action ended. Because with the keypad, it's not just like dialing numbers, but let's say you want to enter a code. Or maybe you're playing a trivia game, and you can enter in the answer or whatever. So there's a bunch of different uses you can use the keypad for. So again, properties, attributes going into your web component. You can listen for custom events coming out of it, and then we got the methods that you call upon. All right, so let's take a look. Oh, and then you have more links. That's what I'm talking about. Open web components and the lids. We're doing definitely a bit faster. All right, so here's this thing here, right? So project. All right, so what we're going to do is, all right, so there's no tricks in my sleeve. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of show you how to be able to take your web component from, because it's cool with web components like that, you can kind of like build stuff and mess around with it, and you can also publish it. So we're going to publish a web component. So what I would like y'all to tell me, give me two colors. So we're going to change the color of the text of the button and the background of the button. So give me two colors.
Purple.
Purple, it's already purple.
Hot pink.
Hot pink, is that a thing in
It's the thing.
Nice, so we're gonna do hot pink. Hyphen pink or hot
No,
pink?
just hot pink all
All right.
Yes. I hope. Yeah, right?
Very nice. Oh, there we go. And then accessibility. What do we want me the actual color of the actual thing here? What should be that?
Yellow.
Yellow. I'm not sure if yellow means whatever. We can do it with the internet. We can do what we want. Sure. All right. Cool. There you go. Kind of Barbie-ish. That's what I like. All right. Cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually just go ahead and publish it. It's easy as just clicking a button. I can find paper release. And cool. All right. So we're going to release that. And so it's going to be under the web components dev name. So that way, if somebody else came up with a conscious.vc-key-workshop, it's not going to cause any conflicts. So what we're going to do is you can actually, still building. So here, you'll be able to check out the package. There we go, cool. All right. So here is your npm.js page eventually. You can see it's version 1.0.6, And yeah, it's a few seconds ago. Publish. Awesome. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this version and we're going to use it in a web. Here we go. All right. So that is that. The nice hot pink line. Cool. So we're going to use it in what do you call it? CodePen. So I'm going to edit this CodePen. There we go. Cool. All right. So now there's a polyfill. You really don't need the polyfills anymore, but I include it just in case if somebody's using like IE11 or something. So kind of use it. But all modern browsers like web components. So what I'm going to do is, oh, well, it's already there, so it should be fine. So this is a little bit of JavaScript here to let the browser know what we're looking for. And let's see. Where is it? That's the one. Is the right one there? Oh, wait, no, it's not. Why are you running? Yeah, put it in the window. Let's see if we can. Flag demos, am I right? Oh, some package weirdness. Okay, so they don't like that. That's weird. Okay, we'll keep moving. So I think it might be an unpackaged thing happening. We'll see. All right. So that's the thing when you use CDNs, sometimes they don't work. All right. So be wary. All right. We'll open this one here. So this is StackBlitz. I'm a big fan of StackBlitz. Some people are familiar with StackBlitz. You've got a cool place you can spin up stuff. I'm a big fan of just doing stuff on the internet and not on my local machine, taking up space. Especially I create a lot of random stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete this and create this one. So right here I'm going to kind of do like an npm install, right? So we're going to do that. And while it's installing, take a look around. So here I just have the VC keypad, cool. And then bam, there's an actual thing because I'm importing it right here as you would do with like any other library. And then just do an install thing there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The VC keypad's here. I can, what is that? Placeholder. I'm pretty sure I'm going to show that, but you can see right there. Just by setting that on there, it does that. Cool. Right. Let's get back here. Get the article. Fast forward to some stuff here. So normally, if I had time, I would go ahead and show you how to put the VC keypad into an actual like framework. Ain't nobody got time for that. So, but I'm just kind of curious. Yeah, I'm sorry. I do. What's cool is once this is over, these slides will be available, and you'll be able to check out all the different ways of doing it. So you can go to them as well. So, okay, a lot of people are using React. Not a lot of Angular, huh? I would think like in Germany. Because there's like a certain way of doing stuff, and Angular is, there's a way. Okay, that's cool. All right, so let's get that. All right, but I just want to kind of draw your attention. Angular has 100% compatibility with web components. React. It's always React. But I want to show you something with React. And then Vue, 100%. It's amazing. Now, there's this website, if you ever want to keep up with it, custom-elements-everywhere.com, because of course there's a website for it. And so they, like I said, they're making sure frameworks and custom elements can be BFFs, right? And so they go through all the different ones. So again, React, side. But there's an experimental version of React that has full support for web components. Why they don't do it, I don't know. That's between y'all.
That's 2017.
Huh? Yeah, right. It's been there forever. Okay. Vue, you see, 100%. Angular, Svelte, AngularJS has better support for web components than the current React. Again, not like that's between y'all. And Preact, Skate, Polymer. So yeah, a whole bunch of stuff you can see here is a lot of version. So if you're ever, wondering whether or not you can use web components, you most likely can. All right. Cool. So now, are we becoming more awesome? Hopefully, maybe, you thinking so? Very nice, very nice, very nice. Cool. Appreciate y'all. We'll keep going. Now, we talked about creating web components, how you can create them, different things. But now we gotta get to the styling, right? Because I mean, you don't want it to just look plain. You want to be able to add your own styles to it, right? From what I've saw so far, again, this is what I know as of now. There are two ways of styling web components. There's custom properties or CSS variables and parts. Anybody familiar with custom properties? Have you ever used like CSS variables before? How about parts? Part is super cool. I'll show you part. All right, so custom properties, CSS variables. So you'll have like a button. So let's say in your web component, right? You have a button in your web component. So what you'll do is you'll put like a background color for your button. You have a variable, hyphen, my element, hyphen, button, hyphen, color. And if you don't set a color, it'll be red. In your root, you'll be able to set the default color, the color you want blue. So the default is red, the color you like is blue. Now, let's say you want to do the text like we just did. Well, you have to do like color, colon, var, hyphen, my element, hyphen, button, hyphen, font, or color, or whatever. Then you set a thing. Now, let's say you want to do the background. Well, that does the background. Let's say you want to do the border radius. Well, then you have to do border radius, colon, var, hyphen, my element, blah, 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 right? You have to set every individual one, and you may miss one or whatever, right? You may want that because you may not want people to be able to change everything about your web component, like the style. Me, I might let people do what they got to do. You know what I'm saying? So let that happen. So that's where part kind of comes in. With part, let's say in your web component, you have that button, right? You name the part. I call it button. You can call it Earl or Bob or whatever you want. I call it just so I know what it is. So button, right? And then in your outer application, you can set the custom elements. So let's say our custom elements, our web component is called custom elements, no imagination. So what you do is you do colon, the part, and then the name of the parts. And then you can style however you want. Pretty cool. I think so. So you can let people do whatever they want with it. Now, so after creating the VC component, we have a set of APIs that help people create like chat apps, right? And I thought it'd be cool. So instead of having to worry about creating the different elements of your chat app, just being able to put like maybe VC messages, that'll show you all the messages in your chat app. If you want to do VC members, you have the members that are part of the conversation. You'll be able to input the text and send it and have a typing indicator. Without having to worry about that, you just put the different elements in there, right? So now, I wanted to kind of show the different ways to style. Because I mean, the default style is cool, right? But now, by being able to have that part button, do all these things, you can make it look like that. Why? I don't know, but hey, I'm not here to judge. It's the internet, do what you gotta do, right? So then also,
Excuse me,
yes.
I have a question. What's the difference between class and part?
Oh, well, see, the thing is, you can't really, through the shadow DOM, select the class of your application. Because with the part, you can actually set the element, colon, part. I guess you could kind of do that with your element with dot class, right? Could you do that?
You can set a class for this shadow part, and you can use you can.
So I don't know if that will actually go through the actual shadow DOM layer. I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever really tried that.
Okay.
Because how would you target the actual element, the web component?
You can use an ID.
Let's say it's taken with ID. I don't know if you'll actually go into the. Interesting. I have to try that. I'm not sure. But I'll try that. Maybe afterwards we can take a look at that. But here we have the members. Again, not too bad. Kind of clean, classic. Then, hey, if you want to make it look like that, again, I am not judging. Part lets you do all that. Oh, by the way, for this one here, now maybe somebody can help me out here because normally when you have like the LI list elements, right? If you want to change them, you do like even and odd or whatever, right? The CSS. I have no clue how to set the part for that. I was able to set the part for the UL, for the outer, right? And then just for like an LI in general. But in order to do the actual individual parts, I had to do a CSS variable. I'm not sure how to like assign a part name because it's not there yet, really. You know what I'm saying? Because it's on it. But hey, if anybody comes across something, please let me know. So that's my call for help. All right. Now, the keypad. So again, with the keypad, what's cool is, it looks like that, but let's say you want to use a keypad for a game, right? Then you can have it look like this. You can move around the little thing and do little pew-pews and stuff. I don't know what you're pew-pewing, but you can. All right. Now, let's talk about new stuff. So this is like brand new. It'll probably break, but I think it's cool, and I want you all to try to help me out with it. So same way we did with the chat, like chat room stuff, you can actually do video call chat stuff with Rockets, right? And so again, I want to try to make it easier for developers to use our APIs without having to worry about like event listeners and setting this thing up and subscribing to this thing and all that stuff. I want to kind of create something that'll just be a little bit easier to use, just like placing elements into your application. See here. Cool. So we have the input select. So if you wanted to choose your webcam and your mic, that's what that one does. You can share your screen. The video publisher is your video being broadcasted into the video chat. Then we have subscriber. It's each individual subscriber that other people that are in the video call. And then video subscribers is just like everybody else together. Okay? And then I have different examples using Angular, React, JS view, and you have to try to come out. And what's cool is you can also it's like a one-click thing to stack this and try it out. Let's see. Okay, so that's that. Now I would like to go and try and use this. So I'm not sure if people got the memo, but you can sign up for a Vonage account, a video account. There's something you need to do, just like sign up there and do that. Let's see. Okay, yeah, but yeah, hard, I think, allows you to, again, pierce like the shadow bound to be able to change the style of that point. And then we have a starter project, which I created here. So this is the Twitch part, and what we're going to do is we're going to open Snaplets, and so that's going to actually like clone our thing here. We're going to go around it. There's one in. To share the. Yep, I need to specify my API key is secret environment variables. So, let me do this. All right, and then where's my so here. We're going to create an application. Then the API, okay, Cityjs, Berlin, create that. Cool. I don't care, I'm going to delete this afterwards. Okay, so you can see right now, we're going to copy this. Please start, please, and then this one. All right, we're going to copy this. Don't know if I need to put that in the quotes, but we shall see. Okay, now we're going to. Oh, did this delete my thing? Come on. We didn't delete my data. That's awesome. Great. Okay, I think I have this somewhere already. We have this one somewhere. This one? Okay. viewer. Should be a host. Okay, and then Alice. Alright. Now, what we do, oh, I'm just going to show us. Issue. Okay, well, that should work. There. I think there's an issue happening. Doesn't block my chords. What does that mean? I didn't block my chords. Oh, weird. I don't know what just happened there, but hey, cool. We got that. And there we go. So here's the viewer, and here's the host. All right, cool. So again, we're just using these web forms. So again, like I said, it's a very simple Twitch. So this is kind of the host is doing the thing, and then you have the viewer. All right, cool. All right, so really quickly, so here's the host. As you can see, we're pulling from a CDN, which is probably an error on my part, but we have a CDN here, and then we just have to do a motion. Simple as that. Cool. But we're also passing in some of the credentials that you need, and that's why I have the API point secret. And so I'm generating this from a server here, and I'm getting the API key, session ID, and the token. I'm passing that into the actual weapon point here. So you see a motion. What does that happen to anybody else? So yeah, so that's basically it, right, for that. And then the actual sentiment pretty much for the person watching, just the index. And so again, I'm just getting the video subscribers, and then I'm expanding here and the subscribers. All right, cool, great. Now, back here, really quickly, but like, what's missing, right? Because it's a Twitch thing. What's the important elements of Twitch? Chat, exactly. So again, we have a chat code. So we have this chat code. I'm just going to go and copy and paste stuff. That's basically built on the video API simulator that we have provided, but we're going to just go ahead and do this real quickly. All right, so here's like the code for it. Cool. This is what it looks like. Awesome. We're going to go ahead and publish it. Cool. Let's publish that. Cool. That's great. So while it's building, let me show you. Yes, so I already have a chat container here, right? So I think past Dwane actually put one. Yes, thanks past Dwane. I have actual code that I need. So here. So here is the script we're going to put into our pages. Cool, we got that release, awesome. So what we're going to do is, in our HTML, right under this one here, we're going to add the script for the chat. Cool, save that. Also for the host, because we're going to host the chat with us as well. Add that there, save that, and then in our JS file. So we make a reference to the chat application that we just loaded via Cityjs. So that's what I do. Close that, and index. Cool, we got that. And then, copies here. I don't think I added an actual video chat. So in the container here, I'm gonna put in the chat. Chat. Cool. And then under the host, do the same thing. Alright, cool. And then I need to connect that to the actual conversation, the session that's happening. So I'll do that here. You can see I'm saying like the session with the token for the publisher log. We'll do the same thing for the chat. Save that. And then do that for also the viewer. From here, go subscribers. All right, so now, hopefully, if I refresh these, will work. Fingers crossed. So let's say Alice is running the host. Oh, here's the issue. Okay, and then let's try to I don't know why. Yeah, weird 500 or so on the package. Yeah, it's not watching something. Try it. Oh, I can't. But it should, like, it's, I don't know why it's weird. Who knows? I'm not sure what we're gonna okay, but it worked before. So, I mean, the video stuff was fine. I'm not sure what's happening. It's unpackaged things. All right. Well, okay, fine. All right. Okay. So there's a coupon code if you like to try and check out our stuff there. You can redeem it in there. But I also have socks if anybody wants. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this. All right. So. Okay, here. All right, so we're going to do a giveaway. This is the latest method one I created, right? And so please tell us that's not good. Okay, no, I think we're fine. Okay. Cool. So take out your phones real quick because what we're going to do is I'll press that start countdown button. A QR code, which is in the morning, is going to show up. You're going to have like 30 seconds. Again, that's the same weapon one I created for again at the timer. And then it's going to show another weapon that I just used. All right, so, and then we're going to do one side. So, everybody ready? All right. There you go. Let's get in. Is it working? All right. All right, cool. Oh, okay, guys. Also, what's happening is they're just fake names. They don't want to, like, get biased. So there's random fake names. So you got 6 seconds, 5 seconds. Is everybody, hope that's somebody online. That would come up with yourself.
It's sometimes you look at page, and it's very slow.
Well, that's your internet. That sounds like your internet.
Yeah. Wait for a bit.
Well, no, because it can't. Because I'm going to. So who wasn't able to? Okay. If you weren't able to do it, right at the time, I'm gonna do this again. Just refresh your page, and don't enter it again because it's going to erase your other entry. If you want to use it. Okay. So, all right, one more time.
What does it have? Okay,
Good. Alright. So, alright. So this is a weapon that I created. It's like a thin prize wheel. So like giveaways and stuff. And so basically we just kind of like we're in a conversation with ourselves now, so that we're able to pass like data back and forth. So we're able to pass in the fake name that was created. And so we're going to spin the wheel. And let me show you what you do. Very nice size. Very, very comfortable. People take pictures and post them on the internet, whatever it is. So people are fine. And so, oh, and then so the spinning wheel is really like great. Like I use physics to actually generate like the motion bubble. So it's like velocity, acceleration, time. It was a lot. But again, you don't have to worry about it because it's all encapsulated, all that gross encapsulated into the web form. And stop eventually at some point. Congratulations to Roxanne, Brett. Nice. All right. So everybody should have seen like it changed, right? So if you didn't win, it's like, oh, sorry, you didn't socks. But you got come on. I've got a bunch of socks, so I'm not trying to take it with me. I'm trying to who's not really late?
I can pick another 5 minutes.
Cool. All right, so I'm gonna do that again now. Is everybody cool with that? We'll do that now? Yay! All right, so now we'll do that all. Go ahead and enter it in because I'm just reset. And so we're gonna spin again. What we also are doing again. And you can see it's random, so it's just it's a different thing. George Johnson. Nice. Congratulations. All right, cool. Let's do this again. We'll have some stuff that will go tomorrow, so you have to get to go from the kitchen. All right, reset and spin. So the method on the web points are either spin or reset. And then this is like Carol Moore. Carol. All right, congratulations. All right, cool. And keep doing this until it stops. All right. Andres Turkles. All right, Andres. All right. There we go. All right. Okay, I'll do like this one. So, reset, spin. So while I was doing, let me show you kind of like what's going on. So I have an admin here. So I have so the prize wheel is just literally the prize type of wheel. Oh, congratulations! Oh, yeah. Carol, everyone. One more time. Again, we'll have like socks and things at the yeah, the people are going to take that. So, Mr. Kent Buckridge DBM. All right. Yeah, right. Okay. I'm sorry for that. All right, cool. We're up. All right. So I think that's going to be it for me today. Thank you again for hanging out. I need to figure out what's up with that, but thank you very much. We have web blog series again with the different frameworks. Links to the video web components. We have the chat web components.
I definitely had a blast and would recommend coming to this event the next time it's on. I'm not sure when they'll be on next, but it is a really good event to meet people who are...
Number 9 of 20, whose phone's gonna ring? Oh, yes, we've got a person, we got winners, give them a round of applause. All right.
with some accent, but now most of you think you're from Greece, so I don't have to pretend that I have an accent. I can speak Greek English, okay? And now we can continue to
the Kappa system, the barrier control. So it's quite a complex system.
It's really cool. Like I learned a lot from them. I also learned a lot from this.
Okay? And now, clap your hands.
I definitely had a blast and would recommend coming to this event the next time it's on. I'm not sure when they'll be on next, but it is a really good event to meet people who
Number 9 of 20, whose phone's gonna ring? Oh, yes, we've got a person, we got winners, give them a round of applause.
with some accent, but now most of you think you're from Greece, so I don't have to pretend that I have an accent. I can speak Greek English, okay? And now we can continue to
the Kappa system, the barrier control. So it's quite a complex system.
It's really cool. Like I learned a lot from them. I also learned a lot from this.
Okay? And now, clap your hands.
I definitely had a blast and would recommend coming to this event the next time it's on. I'm not sure when they'll be on next, but it is a really good event to meet people who
Number 9 of 20, whose phone's gonna ring? Oh, yes, we've got a person, we got winners, give them a round of applause.
with some accent, but now most of you think you're from Greece, so I don't have to pretend that I have an accent. I can speak Greek English, okay? And now we can continue to
the Kappa system, the barrier control. So it's quite a complex system.
It's really cool. Like I learned a lot from them. I also learned a lot from this.
Okay? And now, clap your hands.
definitely had a blast and would recommend coming to this event the next time it's on. I'm not sure when they'll be on next, but it is a really good event to meet people who
Number 9 of 20, whose phone's gonna ring? Oh, yes, we've got a person, we got winners, give them a round of applause.
With some accent, but now most of you think you're from Greece, so I don't have to pretend that I have an accent. I can speak Greek English, okay? And now we can continue to
The combat system, the area control. So it's quite a complex system.
It's really cool. Like I learned a lot from them. I also learned a lot of this.
Okay? And now, clap your hands.
I definitely had a blast and would recommend coming to this event the next time it's on. I'm not sure when they'll be on next, but it is a really good event to meet people who
Number 9 of 20, whose phone's gonna ring? Oh, yes, we've got a person, we got winners, give them a round of applause.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. So my name is Juan from Cityjs. Today we're going to talk about to practice how to build a Next.js application with your platform. And I think it's kind of maybe change my intro a little bit. So before we build a Twitch application, right, and we talk about what's missing, and then we manage the chat to it, and what is the reason for not being a Twitch application, right? And I guess you could say that what's missing is authentication. Right? So there's no way for us to find one, to log in, to log in and to access actually that server. And when you need to start doing that, your core focus is building media services, building the stream, building the chat, like all these things that are complicated enough for you to be focusing on how I'm going to get my user into my application. And that's where Authentication comes in, Authentication, which is a platform, a software as a service that you can use to delegate all your login problems to us instead of doing it yourself. So we are going to take a practical approach to this workshop. There's a QR code there and also a URL that you can access directly. This will take you to some instructions that we are going to be following along today with me. You can use that directly in your laptop, and at the end of the workshop, you're going to have a fully working application using Zero with different login options and sign-up options. To set up pretty good, I recommend that you enter the link. And it's also there's a password protection, which is Cityjs and hacks. So that should be pretty straightforward. I'm going to leave it here just for a minute. We're trying to type in the URL. So after accessing the URL, we enter into a page like this, which is one of the resources, or one of the many resources that we have online. In this case, in the workshop section. And we are going to start with the Next.js positive authentication workshop. We're going to start the prerequisites, you're gonna just need to have a node installed on your laptop that is presented for JavaScript developers. And you're gonna need a free Auth0 account. As a service, you can sign up for free. You're gonna have to send something to the user, something they're not probably gonna reach today or here. So go ahead, please, and start creating a new account. When you create a new account, you have to create what's called a tenant. So under a single account, you can have like multiple tenants or applications. So you're gonna have to create one another. Under the options that you select, you have to enter a name for your tenant. I'm going to do that as well. In here, when I already have a temp, we're going to create a new tenant, and I'm going to call it Cityjs Berlin workshop. And I'm going to select the European servers, so it's going to be easier for us. And we're going to have some of the latest features in that region. On the environment tag, we're also going to select developer. So this is just developer account. Information on your personal account. So we're going to click on create. This just normally takes a few minutes. Yeah, there we go. So what we have now is the Auth0 dashboard. This is the place where you can configure everything related to the Auth0 account. This is one of the main ways we provide developers access to modify what they do with the service. We also offer CLIs, APIs, and Terraform plugin in case you prefer to more automation. So the first thing we're going to do is getting a little bit familiarized with the product in case none of you have seen it. So I'm going to click here on the left menu of the Get Started link. And this shows me a brief introduction of what Auth0 is. I'll just invite people from the team. But there's this box here that says try your login box. So we are going to click on try it out. And this is the Auth0 universal login scheme, which is where users will be able to but we also privacy very seriously, so I normally try to avoid using social connections for this perspective. But if you don't want to use passwords, because we know passwords are not entirely safe, right? For the reasons that we talk about, and we don't want to use social connections because they have a privacy component to it, and also they're not the most safe one at centralizing authentication methods. So what is there and what else can we use? And then comes something called passkeys. So passkeys is there are FIDO credentials that are discoverable by browsers. This is a completely new technology that is built on top of WebAuthn, and it uses private public key cryptography, kind of like blockchain uses, to authenticate you. And the good thing about passkeys is that your private key, which is what you use to log in all the services, never leaves your device. So if you choose to store your device on your laptop, that's where it remains. If you use a security key, kind of like a Eureka key, it will remain in the device. And only, for example, if you use like Cloud Chain from Apple or similar services from Google and Microsoft, in that case, you can have them sync through the internet, so you can have them cross devices. But it will be in that safe environment, right? Which is where you are already probably storing your passwords and like all these other things. And the websites that you sign up for or that you log into, they don't get your private key, they only get like your public key. So they don't get any information about you per se, right? Which is pretty great, and we're gonna see them actually in action. I think it's gonna make a lot more sense when we see it happening. So the good thing, the good news is Auth0 provides now passkeys authentication. It's not enabled by default because it's a new technology. Recently, companies like Google, GitHub started implementing them, and they're trying to make a big push to get rid of passwords and move into passkeys. So let's go back to our Auth0 dashboard and let's try to enable passkeys. So back on the Auth0 dashboard, I'm gonna go into authentication menu under databases. So database connection is where Auth0 will store the user information when they sign up or when they log in. It is not the case of social logins. Social logins are directly federated with the social providers, but in the case of username, passwords, or passkeys, this is where it's gonna get stored. You can have multiple database connections. I'm going to use the default one, which is the username password authentication. So when you click on that, the first thing you need to know is if you see the tab authentication methods, it means that your account is enabled to support passkeys, which all of the accounts in the EU are by default. And that's why I still let's use the EU servers. But we are rolling out to all the regions. So when I click on authentication methods, I have passwords, which comes enabled by default, as we saw before, and I also have passkeys. So I'm going to go ahead and configure passkeys now by switching toggle, and boom. Auth0 is telling me that I cannot proceed unless I met some prerequisites. It looks like I'm good on pretty much all of them except the first one, which is the identifier first login flow. So what that is, well, if I click now on try connection, we see on the same screen that the user is required to enter the email address or the username and the password. And if you use, for example, Google, you may have noticed that in one step you enter like your email, and then on a second step you enter your password. For using passkeys, we need to have the same flow. We need to have this two-step process. But thankfully, that's easy to do. Go into the authentication profile section here under authentication. And in here, I can quickly switch to identifier first. Here, now I can click on save. So immediately when you click on it, you can see here the diagram how the different things change. So this is a good way to see kind of like how your flow will look like when making configurations. But you can also go ahead and try it. So if I click now try, now I need to enter my email address, and on a second step, I will have to enter my password or my passkey, as we'll see. So now that's done, we can go back to the databases, and we can go to the username and password authentication database we had before. And under authentication methods, we are going to enable passkeys. And this time it just works. Boom. So we are ready to use passkeys. There are a few configurations you can do, but the defaults are pretty good. The most important, or the two most important configurations you can do is the passkey challenge. We'll see when we do a demo that passkeys will autofill, kind of like if you have a password manager, it autofills your password. So it happens automatically. It knows that you already signed up for that website and prompts you to log in with that. So you can have that, or you can have that you press a button in order to log in, right? But by default, we have both options enabled. And the second one is, it's not very important for us because we just created a new account and we don't have users. But if you already have users coming into your application every day, and now you want to use passkeys, right? So the following is, how do you like to take that? Do you want to send like a massive email to everybody that register your passkey? Or like it's the default, we do progressive enrollment of passkeys. Meaning the first time they log in, the first time a user logs in again, they will be prompted to enter their passkeys and replace the passwords at that point, instead of being a massive all at once. So with those configurations done, let's go back to our database settings and click on try connection once again. And boom, the moment I click here now in the try connection button, I see the Auth0 login screen, and I have already my password manager, which supports passkeys, telling me, hey, you want to unlock me, and I can check if you are already a user of the site. But I'm not very interested in using my password manager right now. So when I close the password manager, I see the Chrome's default passkeys behavior telling me you don't have currently a passkey for this device, right? And it's asking me, do you want to use iCloud keychain, or would you like to scan a QR code with your phone and tablet? I'm not going to do that right now because I'm still not a user of this application. Well, so what I'm going to do, no, I didn't forget my password. Whoa, okay, sorry, wrong button. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sign up, because I'm so far not a user of this application. And I'm going to enter my user, my email, which is clearly this one. And after I click on continue, I get this pop-up saying, okay, so now you can create a passkey for all your applications and devices. So instead of asking me to enter a password, it's asking me to create a passkey. So I can click on the create passkey button, and we have again one password here, but I'm going to use another passkey service, and we go back to Chrome. And now I have three different options: iCloud keychain because I'm on a Mac, scan a QR code to use my phone, or my Chrome profile, right? If you are using any other browser, you'll have similar options. Maybe they're named differently, but they are usually all the same. I'm going to use my Chrome profile because that's the easiest for me right now. It will sync with my Google account, and I'll be good with that. And now it's telling me, okay, so you are creating a passkey. It reminds me what is my login URL, which is the Cityjs Berlin I just created. My email address that I created an account for, and then I click continue. And now, because passkeys are two step things. It's something that I have, which is a private key, the password, but then something that I am or something that I know. Like for example, my biometrics, right? So in order to register a passkey, I will have to confirm with my biometrics. So with my thumb, other services will have something different, and then it works, right? So I just sign up as a user, and I see some basic information I register with, like my email and my graph profile. So now I come in another day to work, and I want to log in into this application. I'm gonna click again try connection to simulate that. And now if I click over here, so Chrome is already telling me you already have a passkey for this service. And the only thing I need to do is continue, confirm with my biometrics just to confirm that it's me. And I'm automatically logged in. Right. So it's very easy. It's kind of like when you have a password manager for your passwords, but this is safe. Right. They are phishing resistant because they never leave your device. Right. They cannot be brute forced. You don't share critical information with your provider. And when you enter your password and you sign up into a service you don't know, are they saving correctly the password? Are they hashing the password? And you don't really know what they're doing, right? And then sometimes we reuse them and then like that, right? So it's very easy to use, very user friendly, and they are safer, right? So clearly the future. But this is great, right? So we have Auth0, it works, but no user will click on the try button, right? We need to have an application and we need to integrate Auth0 with our application because that's what is the most important to us, right? We want to access this awesome Twitch service we just created. So we are gonna go and we're gonna create a simple Next.js application, no boilerplate. So we're gonna start completely from scratch, just using create next app. I don't have a demo for web components, but perhaps that's gonna be next. So now I'm gonna go into my terminal, and whoops, and I'm gonna select where I wanna create my project, which is gonna be this folder, and yeah, I'm just gonna run the create next app command using the latest version of Next.js. And then, yeah, just a full name for my app. I'm going to use TypeScript because why not? I want ESLint. I don't want Tailwind CSS. I love Tailwind, but then the code will be too long to have it in one screen, so let's avoid that for now. I don't want to use a source directory, but that's completely up to you. And I'm going to use app router because that's the latest of Next.js. So why not? Let's play a little bit with that. Yeah, let's keep this in the default. And while we wait for NPM to go to space and conquer the moon and all that stuff, NPM normally does. We are going to start creating the application in Auth0. So far, what we did is generate account level configurations, like what is the kind of stuff that you want to have when you integrate. But then it comes to the point where you can have multiple applications, right? You can have a web application, you can have a mobile application for iOS, a mobile application for Android, right? And all that stuff also needs to be defined in your Auth0 dashboard. So I'm going to go into applications, very creative naming. And under here, I'm going to create a new application, which is going to be my awesome, I cannot spell it, awesome app. And Auth0 is asking me, okay, what type of application are you creating, right? That can be native, like mobile or desktop applications, CLIs, that kind of stuff, single web applications, if it is just React or Vue, that kind of stuff. But Next.js is a regular web application, so it's client-server architecture. We also have machine-to-machine applications, right? So if you have two different APIs talking to each other, that will be a machine-to-machine connection. So I'm going to create this application. And when I get an application, Auth0 already asked me, okay, what type of technology you are using. You could look for here for Next, and then you will get detailed instructions on how to do that implementation. But we have that on the guide as well, right? So we're going to use the guide we provided to everybody, which is this one. And there are a few things I need to configure because as we saw, Auth0 opens a new window, right? So the users will perform the authentication in the Auth0 website. You can have a custom domain to reflect that to your branding, and you can fully customize the experience to colors and logos and all that stuff. But you still need to redirect to a page where you log in, and then you need to redirect back, right? And for that, we need to register where Auth0 is going to redirect you back, right? So that's what is called the allowed callback URL, which is always your domain, which in our development mode is going to be localhost 3000. And then we're going to register some endpoints. Our endpoints will be API, auth, and then callback. Okay. So I'm going to just copy that for now. And I'm going to tell Auth0 on my application on the settings page. If I scroll down, I have under the application URI sections, I have allowed callback URLs, and I'm going to paste that there. You can have multiple, you can have more than one, but in this case, yeah, you just need to look at those. And then the same, we have allowed logout URLs. So who's allowed to log out your users? We're going to copy that, and we're going to paste it in the allowed logout URLs field. And then we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and we're going to save changes. This is a very important step. It happens to me all the time. The button is right at the end, at the bottom, so I always miss it. And then I'm like, wow, why is it not working? And I'm like, oh, I didn't save it. And it's a very characteristic error. You'll get fun to it. Right, so we're good, right? So now Auth0 is aware of our application, but our application is not aware about Auth0. So now we need to do the configuration the other way around, right? Similar to what we did with web components, we were going to create an .env file, and we're going to put some of the values from Auth0 into that file. And when you use the guide that we provided online, we have this nice tool that allows you to collect information, and it's going to create the file for you. So Auth0 domain, where do I get that? Well, I go into my application dashboard, I scroll again to the top, and I have here all the information that I'm going to need is going to be here on the screen. My Auth0 domain, I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it here where it says Auth0 domain. Similarly, the client ID, I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it in the Auth0 client ID. Next, I need to create a secret. So the way the Auth0 SDK will work in the next application, it's going to create a session. And for the session, we're going to use cookies. So you need a secret, right, to encrypt the cookies. So to create your secret for the cookies, you can run this command. Or you can make something up. Normally, I just make something up. But let's do it right here. So going back into my terminal, I'm going to run the command, and it's going to generate me some unique secret key. I never pasted on the screen in front of everybody. And I'm going to create my .env file. So I'm going to go into the application that we call awesome auth. And I'm going to create a new file, .env, and I'm going to start opening Visual Studio Code because we're going to be doing a few stuff in here. So we enter the secret key, and here we have already the .env file, how it should look like, with all the parameters created in those fields. If you don't have these, you can do that manually, right? But this is just an easier way to do that. And boom, I just copy that and I save it. So one thing that you notice is the last parameter, the client secret, the Auth0 client secret. That's something we didn't copy on the website because that secret is very important. If someone gets access to that secret, it's pretty much game over in the Auth0 account, right? They won't be able to access a lot of stuff. So we don't want you to copy that information and put it not even in our website, right? That should remain to you and to your application and only that. So we don't even ask you to do that, but you will have to do that in the .env, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back to my application details, and here's my client secret. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to replace this value for that one. Boom. And I'm going to close very fast before everybody sees it. So now that we have our configuration environment variables, we can start coding, right? So far it's been fun, but we haven't really code much, right? So next step, integrating the Next.js with Auth0. So I'm going to simply start a new library, which is add Auth0/Next.js -Auth0. Right? And again, Hopefully we'll take it from the cache, that is going quite fast. But we never know. And remember I mentioned this callback, and this callback requires an API handler from Next.js, right? So we require to have a URL which is going to expect something at /API/auth/callback. Well, Auth0 will automatically register all those callbacks for us. The only thing we need to do is to tell it what. In order to do that, we're going to use dynamic routes from Next.js. So we're going to create a new folder inside my app directory. We're going to create a new folder called API. You have a command that's going to do everything for you, but it's pretty easy. So I'm going to do it now. Under API, I'm going to create auth, which is that /API/auth that we saw, and then we're going to have a new folder, which is in between brackets, notating that it's a dynamic API. So anything that is being called under /API/auth will fall into this route, right? So either it's /callback, /userinfo, /login, everything will fall in there. And then we're going to create a file, which is route.ts, right? And here we're going to write all the logic for the callback, getting user information, logging in, logging out, and all the stuff that we need. So be prepared to type in a lot. So I'm going to take these 2 lines of code here, and done. Awesome, so we are done with that. Let's run our application and see what is happening. So I'm going to do npm run dev. And I'm going to visit the localhost 3000. And oops, well, that looks very Next.js template. I think I did my API calls, but I never actually implemented anything in the UI, right? So let's fix that. So let's go back into the code. Let's go back to the layout file. And there's something important in here we're going to add. So let's go back to our module in here. And if you keep on scrolling on the integrate Next.js with Auth0 section, we are going to see that there's a new layout that you can copy and paste. Now, the only difference between the layout that is here and the one provided by default by Next.js is that it implements a React provider, which is this one here, user provider, and wraps the application in user provider. That way, when you have client components in Next.js, you can ask Auth0 for the user that is logged in and other methods directly to the provider. Right? So it's quite convenient to have it at the application level or at the layout level, because layout anyway is running clients. And your application will still look the same. So we're also going to change the page TSX with the default Vercel code. And we're going to go here into the next section, access user and section information, and we are going to copy all of that. Okay? Again, this is very similar code to what we had with Next.js. When we see it in the screen, that I replaced that. It looks pretty similar. We just remove a few times and we added a login button. But what is that login button and what is exactly this page doing? So the login button is simply a link to our new APIs, right? So API /out/logout to logout /login to login, right? Pretty straightforward. And then we have this, right? Use user. Because we register the provider, now we can get access to the user information directly in here. And if the user is undefined, that means that the user is simply not logged out. It's simply logged out or not logged in. And that's what we do here as a criteria to show the login or logout button. Right? If I have a user, I show the logout button. If I'm not, I show the login button. Right? So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And then in here, same thing, right? A conditional on the user. And if the user, I also take the chance to show the name of the user in case you register a name. If not, it's going to default to the username or the email. And also the photo of the user in case there's a photo available. By default, we take images from Gravatar if your email is associated with Gravatar. If not, it generates a typical two-letter first name, last name kind of situation. But let's see if it works. Like demos, you know. So I'm gonna click now on login, and like something happened, right? Like I didn't get like, I couldn't even put my username. It didn't ask me for my passkey or for my password. But this is because I was already logged in this session, right? When I click on that try the login box, I logged in, and that session remained in Auth0. What we are doing now is transferring that session to my Next.js application, which is independent sessions that needs to be in sync, right? And this is kind of like the beauty of it. Think of it, for example, a mobile application where you have native components and sometimes you open web views, right? Sometimes something that is very hard to do is when you're all logged in your native application and then you need to be logged in the native view, you need to share the session and you need to be very careful how you share that session. In this case, because your session belongs to Auth0, right? And then you just downstream those sessions, that can happen at one. And this pop-up is a typical OAuth2 application saying, hey, you are logged in with Auth0, but now this application is asking you to access your data, right? And it's asking me to get basic profile access for my username, my photo, and my email. So I accept that. This is something that you can remove for first-party applications. This is more common in the case you're building an API for third parties, and you want third parties to have like, their own independent applications, like you won't be able to do that with Dialog. Maybe similar to when you register your calendar and you put your Google account, and then you need to consent that the calendar access can access your Google Calendar, right? So I accept, and I get redirected back to my Next.js application. I see the logout button, and I see here my information. Now, if I click on logout, two things are happening, right? Even if we call just one API endpoint, it's two things happening. First of all, we are destroying the local Next.js session. So I'm logged out of my Next.js application, and then we are killing Auth0, and the user wants to log out. So it also logs out of the Auth0 application, of the Auth0 session. So I click on logout, I'm totally out, and if I click on login again, now it's telling me, okay, now you're not logged in anywhere, we need to provide your credentials again, right? And because we have passkeys, it's very easy for us to do. One enter, fingers, and for as long as I can keep my fingers, I'm safe, right? Yeah. So what we did so far is we just crashed the service of what an Auth0 with Next.js application can do. Then when we set up the handlers with the routes, we leave it pretty much empty. But there's a lot of customizations that you can do in this handle auth. For example, we don't register a sign up by default, even though users can in login box click on the sign up button. You can also register a sign up handler that will directly take you to the sign up form. You can change return to, like right now I'm returning always to my home screen, but perhaps maybe I wanted to edit the user's profile or to any other URL, so you can easily do that as well. And one thing we didn't talk about is getting user information. So what we did now is we transform the page into a client application, and we are using the provider, so the context provider, and the user hook to get user information. But what happens if you are trying to do several things, right? What happens if I want to render this page on the server? Well, you can do that. You can, if we leave this running as a server component, we have methods like a get session to get the user as an object on the server side of node, and then you can pass that through prompts to your clients as you need, right? So you are free to choose whichever method fits better for your application. And another thing you can do as a next step, which I suggest if you have been following around and you built so far, is calling a third-party API, right? So you have the Next.js APIs. They can be protected automatically using the Auth0 SDK as protected routes. But you can also get an access token from Auth0 and call an external API. And that's kind of an exercise for you to move on. On the workshop details, when you finish or when you complete all the steps and you click on next, we suggest some follow-up readouts. We have a full authentication by example guide with our router. We also provide one with pages routers if that's what you prefer. And in this course, everything we talked today, plus calling external APIs, registering signups, and using client and server methods to retrieve user information. So it's a pretty good readout. Then you have directly the SDK on GitHub. So all of our SDKs are public, so you can you can go to the repositories and they provide very good information and even some really nice examples. All of them have like these example links, and the examples will cover like different atypical use cases. So while the SDK will briefly will cover the typical scenario like we saw today, the examples will cover some of the more atypical ones. And then also, because what we saw today is pretty easy, but sometimes your authentication requires complex scenarios like linking with other services, using single sign-on. We have these all zero architectural scenarios that you can review. There are multiple different scenarios that are common among our customers that you can check out and implement for yourself. And lastly is feedback. So one thing that we are about to is we are there for developers, and we are where developers are, and we want developers to enjoy the Auth0 experience. Right? Integrating with Next.js was quite easy, even though we just did a basic integration. But we look forward to hearing your opinions, like how do you find the workshop? How do you find the Auth0 dashboard? Do you got lost with the documentation that I gave you, right? So if you complete this at home, if you completed this, and if you have ideas of how we can improve, things that maybe you just simply dislike, or things that maybe like thumbs up and hey, this was great. Yeah, we would love to hear that. You can reach out to me directly. Tomorrow we're also going to be at the booth, so you can visit us at the booth. We can go more in-depth conversations in there. You can provide your feedback there, or we also have a form. The form is anonymous. So you can complete that, provide as many details as you want or not, and yeah, give us your feedback there, because that's the only way we can improve how we can better serve you, right? And yeah, I think that's pretty much for me today. Tomorrow, please visit us at the Auth0 booth. I'm also going to give a talk where I'm going to talk a lot about passkeys, not implemented with Auth0 because that we did today, but we're going to talk more in details about the password problems and going passwordless as the future. So yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot for coming.
I definitely had a blast and would recommend coming to this event the next time it's on. I'm not sure when they'll be on next, but it is a really good event to meet people who are...
Number 9 of 20, whose phone's gonna ring? Oh, yes, we've got a person, we got winners, give them a round of applause.
With some accent, but now most of you think you're from Greece, so I don't have to pretend that I have an accent. I can speak Greek English, okay? And now we can continue to
the combat system, the barrier control. So it's quite a complex system.
It's really cool. Like I learned a lot from them. I also learned a lot of this.
Okay? And now, clap your hands.
definitely had a blast and would recommend coming to this event the next time it's on. I'm not sure when they'll be on next, but it is a really good event to meet people who
Number 9 of 20, whose phone's gonna ring? Oh, yes! We've got a person, we got a winner, let's give them a round of applause!
With some accent, but now most of you think you're from Greece, so I don't have to pretend that I have an accent. I can speak Greek English, okay? And now we can continue to
the combat system, the barrier control. So it's quite a complex system.
It's really cool. Like I learned a lot from them. I also learned a lot of this from
Okay? And now, clap your hands.
I definitely had a blast and would recommend coming to this event the next time it's on. I'm not sure when they'll be on next, but it is a really good event to meet people who
Number 9 of 20, whose phone's gonna ring? Oh, yes! We've got a person, we got a winner, let's give them a round of applause!
with some accent, but now most of you think you're from Greece, so I don't have to pretend that I have an accent. I can speak Greek English, okay? And now we can continue to
the combat system, the barrier control. So it's quite a complex system.
It's really cool. Like I learned a lot from them. I also learned a lot of this from
Okay? And now, clap your hands.
I definitely had a blast and would recommend coming to this event the next time it's on. I'm not sure when they'll be on next, but it is a really good event to meet people who
Number 9 of 20, whose phone's gonna ring? Oh, yes! We've got a person, we got a winner, let's give them a round of applause!
with some accent, but now most of you think you're from Greece, so I don't have to pretend that I have an accent. I can speak Greek English, okay? And now we can continue to
the combat system, the barrier control. So it's quite a complex system.
It's really cool. Like I learned a lot from them. I also learned a lot of this from
Okay? And now, clap your hands.
definitely had a blast and would recommend coming to this event the next time it's on. I'm not sure when they'll be on next, but it is a really good event to meet people who...
Number 9 of 20, whose phone's gonna ring? Oh, yes! We've got a person, we got a winner, let's give them a round of applause!
Now with some accent, but now most of you think you're from Greece, so I don't have to pretend that I have an accent. I can speak Greek English, okay? And now we can continue to
the combat system, the barrier control. So it's quite a complex system.
It's really cool. Like I learned a lot from them. I also learned a lot of this.
Okay? And now, clap your hands.
I definitely had a blast and would recommend coming to this event the next time it's on. I'm not sure when they'll be on next, but it is a really good event to meet people who...
Number 9 of 20, whose phone's gonna ring? Oh, yes! We've got a person, we got a winner, let's give them a round of applause!
Now with some accent, but now most of you think you're from Greece, so I don't have to pretend that I have an accent. I can speak Greek English, okay? And now we can continue to
the combat system, the barrier control. So it's quite a complex system.
It's really cool. Like I learned a lot from them. I also learned a lot of this.
Okay? And now, clap your hands.
I definitely had a blast and would recommend coming to this event the next time it's on. I'm not sure when they'll be on next, but it is a really good event to meet people who...
Number 9 of 20, whose phone's gonna ring? Oh, yes! We've got a person, we got a winner, let's give them a round of applause!
Now with some accent, but now most of you think you're from Greece, so I don't have to pretend that I have an accent. I can speak Greek English, okay? And now we can continue to
the combat system, the barrier control. So it's quite a complex system.
It's really cool. Like I learned a lot from them. I also learned a lot of this.
Okay? And now, clap your hands.
And we are on live as well.
Awesome. Yeah, no problem. Okay. Hi. I'm not actually going to cut this to me because the major part of this is going to be a recess. But really quick housekeeping first. We're here to talk about Storyblok and Astro. And we originally thought it was going to be 2 or 3 hours, and then we were informed it's actually an hour. And so we cut out a lot. And we're going to be improvising a little bit, but I'm sure you're going to have some fun as well. Yeah, just really quickly, this is us, both in summer and in
But I have to
winter.
say, if it goes more and people are enjoying, we can go we can do half an hour more.
I was joking, yeah. I'm just trying to pave the way here for us to go over time. Anyway, there's just one bio because actually all of this is identical for us. We both work at Storyblok as developer relations engineers. We're both Girl Code ambassadors, GDEs for web technologies, and we host a stream together which is called Girl Code Coffee Chat. Come check that out. And we should do an episode about Astro once in a while.
We actually had one.
Yeah.
This is more discovery about Astro 3.0.
Yeah.
But if you're interested in, check out, our recordings.
Yeah. And yeah, what are we gonna do right now? We're gonna have a quick look at. Oh yeah, actually, we're gonna have a quick check whether you did your homework or not. And this Slido is not working. That's sad. So moving on with the improvisation, did you have a look at the materials that were shared before, or are you coming empty-handed? Just be honest so we know what to do.
We're not gonna bite you or eat you alive. It's just for us to know.
Oh, people are looking very shy, so I'm assuming at least part of them did not look at the material. Okay, no worries. That will be accounted for. All right, so what can you expect today? We're going to have a look at Astro, of course. We're going to deal with some remote image handling, and we're going to work with a headless CMS. It's going to be the headless CMS of our choice, which is Storyblok. And we're going to work with reusable components, atomic designs, you name it. And hopefully, in the end, we're going to have something like, can we move on to the next slide? Yeah, something like this. So like a little block that's managed with a common management system, with some dynamic content, and of course, with Astro. That's basically it for today. So we can already get started. I'm going to hand it over to Arisa. And under this link, you will find a Notion page with all the resources. So if you wanted to follow along right now would be the time to get out your laptop, paste that link in, and follow our resources. All right, and with that, I'm going to hand over to Lisa.
All right, thank you so much, Josephine. It's always nice to have, her next to me because I'm not going to do an intro and closing, and also being aware that everyone is, following all the steps. So when you have, let's say, something is not working in your environment, feel free to, pause me, or, I'm sure that Josephine is going to make sure that if everyone, is following or something got stuck, so feel free to ask her as well. And yeah, I know that quite some numbers of people are feeling shy to ask if something is working or not. And if you're not sure, don't worry about it. That's what I prepared a, step-by-step Notion note for you so that you can, get access from this link. I wanted to display this a little bit longer so that you all would have access to the Notion notes. All right, so moving on to the workshop part. So, if you see this screen, then you're on the right page to get the resources. And for your information, there's also the GitHub repo that you can use it as a backup while you're working on, and if something doesn't work, you can always, go to the relevant part of the branch that I kind of split it into the different, let's say, steps. So you can always go to the branch that you are working on and then fork it, clone it, just swap the preview environment API key token, which I'm also going to show you how you can go here. All right, so let me a little bit maximize this. So this is the workshop repo. You're going to have access to it. If you see the same view, then you're in the right repo. So you're going to have the README for after workshop. If you want to try out things and test it out, what you learned from today's workshop. So just for you to know. And what I mean by that to say switch different branches is that if you got stuck in part 1, let's say, then select the branch from, like from main to part 1, and then you're going to jump into the part 1 completed version of the content. So fork this repo and then clone it and then just swap your Gravely API key token. Then you can catch up, easily for the rest of, let's say, the steps to follow. All right, so this is the Notion, which might be nice. Looks good? Or too small? Okay, good. I hope it also looks good for the people who are joining online. So you have table of content. I'm not going to cover too much about this part, requirements and the resources. If you're interested into, let's say, like do your post homeworks, which I'm not going to blame you at all because we all have very busy schedules. So you have like all the sources, something like mostly video, like based materials that I kind of initially assigned as a homework, but you can easily watch them later on. And you also have the access to the docs to catch up what you're going to learn. And actually, it's based on one of the blog post tutorials that we published on Storyblok site. So the thing is, like, this workshop is going to cover like in between part 1 to part 5, where you can continue till part 7 in the end. But to fit into the time, because it's almost dinner time, we're going to cover till the part 5. But if you're interested in yourself, vertical parts that you can continue. So I'm going to skip this part. Homework we can do later. We can do later here. And let's move on to the part 1, which is going to be quick, I hope, because we're going to use some of, let's say, shortcuts to be quicker. So instead of building up the environment from scratch, we're going to use a shortcut called Storyblok create demo, or Storyblok create demo. So basically, if you run the single line of the command, and then you would actually have a very basic starter of Astro and Storyblok ready for you, so that this part you can shortcut already. Then you can focus on to implement the visual editor and also like applying the Astro features into your Storyblok application. So to follow that, we are going to create a new space first. And I'm also going to, hey, welcome. No worries. And I'm also going to do the same process with you. So I hope you also can, like follow what I'm going to do. So go to the storyblok.com. If you don't have an account, you can create it for free.
Can I give an example?
Yeah, sure.
There is a thing here. So you can print in yours. So you can have friends.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
No worries, no worries. It actually helps me a lot. So go to the storyblok.com, and then if you don't have an account, you can create it by going to the try for free. And if you already have an account, you can go log in. But I just want to make sure, because I don't want to, leave anyone behind. So if you need to create a new account, just quickly give me, the info if you need to. Just keep raise your hand. Okay. Then I'm gonna wait. Yeah. When you're done, then you can, raise your hand again and tell me. Okay, cool. Awesome. I'm wait for a few seconds.
You can social ones.
Yes. Also, again, if you get stuck, you can always, ask me or Josephine. So you're all aligned. Okay. Do I still need to create the account? Okay, I see that. Let's wait for a few more seconds. And we can go. workshop.
You're doing great.
Oh, thank you. I hope so. I'm a little bit nervous now, but
No worries.
hope I'm doing great. Hope so. I've done like all night. Okay. Alright, anyone still needs time to create an account? No? Okay. Alright, so if you have created an account, then you can, yeah, I think I skipped one part, which I haven't yet showed you how exactly going to look like, what you're gonna do. I mean, you saw on the screenshot, but let me quickly do that because I saw two people, like just came here. So to give them time, I'm gonna show what you're gonna do quickly, then we can continue. So this is what we are going to build, like in the end, on the Storyblok application. That's how you're going to see that. So I hope you can see the dotted wrapper lines around the components. That's what we mean to say the real-time, like interactive editing, feature. So when I come here, click this hero, image component, and if I want to change this my blog website, and I added, like the exclamation mark. Astro works a little bit differently, but when you hit the save button, then you can see, the results. But it's because, we don't want to ship tons of JS for client side. That's the point of it. That's why, like, you have this, let's say, like, kind of interaction, a little bit working different way, but configuration is actually quite simple. So that's why I wanted to quickly say that, not just only the landing page. So let me show by increasing the scale of it. So there's like a blog page where I store it in order, and then there's like a nested route that content editors also can configure it, and then from the developer side, I'm going to show you how you can do that, but you can handle the dynamic routing. So here's the each article. This is the article 3, and of course you can do the editing here as well. There would be 2 more, like articles are going. All images here, it's using Astro 3.0's, like image components. So we are also going to discover how you can fetch the remote images by using the Astro image components. So I hope everyone was able to create an account for the Storyblok. You have a good idea what you're going to build with. So let's go back to the step where we were at. So we created the spaces. Nice. So we are going to use a shortcut, create demo from the Storyblok. And to do that, I hope you have opened up your Notion note. The one exactly you can see the same. So you can just copy and paste, and of course swap this preview API key token. But let me tell you where you can get everything at once and then can copy. So when you create it, let me go to here. And I hope you click this green button with me, and then here's the add space to. When you log in, this is the screen, and then here there's a green button, add space. So that's what you're going to create your brand new, I would say, environment or project. So we are going to choose this new space to start from scratch. So you can choose here. And then you can enter the name of Cityjs Berlin. This is great. And then the server location for today, I would say EU, because we're based in EU. So just stick to the default value, and you can hit the create space button. And then after that, after a few seconds, you're gonna see that one model, but you can just click this continue with trial. For 14 days, you have full access to all the features, so you can just continue with the trial. And the first page, like after you close the model, this is where you can grab the NTX, like command, like one-liner, command, including your preview API key token, which is this random alphabet and the numbers. So that is the unique, I would say, ID assigned to your space that you just created now, and that is going to allow you to create a connection in between Storyblok app and your Astro app to preview things. So you can hit this copy code, And then when you hit that, then you can, move on to terminal or wherever you can execute the command line. In my case, go to here, and then I can just paste it here, and then execute. Then it's going to generate actually like pretty much everything based on the configurations that you're going to select with me. So here you can select the frameworks. Of course, we're going to go for Astro today. So choosing the Astro, you can go by pressing the down arrow, and then you can choose, the package managers of your choice. I'm going to go with NPM. You can choose, the default region. Again, like I said, it's going to be EU. And you can give a name to your, repo. So I'm going to do it Cityjs of Berlin. Hit enter. And if you see the same screen or a similar screen with me, then you're good to go. So the rest of the step to complete the part 1 will be installing the necessary packages, and then configure a little bit of more stuff, and then we can move on to continue the part 2 and the rest of the parts. I hope you are following this step so far. I want to make sure if everyone is following. If you still need a few minutes, let me know. Then I will make a few seconds of pause. Oh, good. Okay. All right. So, like I was saying, let me quickly go back to the Notion node, so you can also see where we need to see. So we are done here. We are also done here. And I wanted to let you know one thing. We need to come here. So we are going to open up what we actually install on our text editor. And we are going to check the package.json file because there's something I noticed this morning that we need to configure, let's say, the dependencies to bring it to the dependencies from the dev dependencies. So if you open up, let's say, like, I actually already opened up configuration that we have. So to be quick, I open up already, prepared, let's say, text editor, but it's gonna look the same. What I, installed with you, configured with you, I think it would look quite similar, except this part, dependencies. I think you see in your environment that all of the packages are actually in the dev dependencies, and if you're going to hit the install, actually it's going to install in the dev dependencies. To avoid that, that's why I didn't say install it already. To avoid that, you can go to the Notion page, copy here, and paste it to update your package.json. You don't need to think about anything, just think about it, delete the comments that I have made, and update especially the versions of the Storyblok, Astro, SDK. You would need this SDK to create a connection in between Storyblok and Astro. Yeah. Okay. So far it's clear, I hope. If not, let me know.
So it should be dev dependencies or dev dependencies?
It should be dependencies. Yeah. So I think in your environment, that's how it would look like. Everything is in dev dependencies. But yes.
I have dev dependencies. I uninstalled that and then installed the dependency.
You can do this way too, yes. But to avoid having extra, duplicated amount of the steps,
yes.
You haven't installed anything at this point, right? Or you install? If you haven't yet installed at this point, then you can just copy and paste, update what is written on Notion, and after you update the package.json file, then you're going to install by running the npm install or ice. Then you don't need to do this uninstalling process. I hope so far it's not too difficult. Alright, anyone still needs time? to update, let's say, that your package updates. If you already have done this part, you can go for executing npm I or npm install. Because sometimes with the Wi-Fi connection, it's gonna take, like longer. Or depending on the package manager you use, some of them maybe wanna use Dwane. I have already tested too. It might work faster, but some of them work slower. So this I will leave it to you. Okay. Anyone needs time? All good?
Oh.
Okay, awesome, thank you. I like this interactive workshop. It's much easier than doing online. All right, so going back to the text editor, so I hope you have the same configuration with me, and then now we can hit the npm install, and then, yeah, it's going to install things. Yeah, all right. So make sure your Storyblok Astro, which is our SDK, follows this 3.0.1. If you have anything lower, you might face a TypeScript issue later on. So that's why it's quite important to have up-to-date version, which is a 3.0.1. Okay. Everyone finished installing? Okay, I see nothing. Nice. Yes.
I'm getting an error.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what kind of error you found?
Failed parse JSON data.
Okay.
Might be an error in your package to JSON.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a comment.
Yeah, or between commands. Yeah. That should work. Right now. No.
That's teamwork.
Yes. We're not using Vim, so.
Okay, no worry.
There you go, and if you just have to go back, it should work. Yes. That should work.
How is it going?
You can go ahead if you want, I'll fix it.
Okay. Thank you, Ian. But yeah, of course, I mean, we're here, so if you need help, feel free to pause us. Yeah, okay. I mean, this dependencies part, if things would work, then you can easily follow the rest of the steps by seeing, this Notion page. So, yeah. Okay. So I think you installed everything, right? Yeah, I see the things. So the next thing is that we are going to go back to our visual editor to add the preview URL.
Happens to the best.
So excited for it?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Okay, so let's go back to the Storyblok UI, where I open up in here. So I think we left the get started part, but now we can move on to the settings on the left-hand side of the bottom. So you're an admin, so that's why you have the access here. And what I want to move on to places the visual editor. So here at the visual editor, you see at the location in the very top, there's like something random preview URL. You cannot see, the preview with this. So we're going to actually update this to the localhost that Astro provides, which is localhost 4321. I like this one, 4321. I guess they need to say about rocket launching, right? Yeah. Okay. So localhost 4321. The save button, so that as long as you store, let's say, any preview URLs that you want to see by default, on the top, then you don't need to switch around, you know, like in between. Yes?
Question, hat ihr HTTPS oder HTTP?
Great question. It's HTTPS. Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, I can actually explain you a little bit better from the Notion notes. I left it here. Let me go a little bit further because that's where you can see it too. So here is the place where you can see. So actually, Astro already serves by default to have the SSL certified version of the localhost. And if you use the other technologies, which most likely provide you the HTTP means without SSL certificate, you know, like localhost, then you need to configure a little bit more things. But with Astro, it's already done by default, supports it, so it's HTTPS. And you can, you know, like shortcut the extra configuration that you need to suffer, but not in this workshop. Okay, let me quickly go back a little bit. So this is where we are at right now. And I think you updated the version URL and hit the save button. Make sure to hit the save button. And then later on, we can go to the content on the left-hand side of the sidebar. So this would be an entry point of where you can, I mean, literally everyone who is going to work on the Astro Storyblok applications will see the visual editor. But by default, you're not going to see it. And don't worry, you see already before something is running, but it's because I have something running. But for you, let's say, well, I'm going to like terminate the stuff I was working on. So you can do npm from dev, and then hit the enter. Then you're going to see how fast the things are going to be already processed. Let me quickly modify to have the same environment with you. Okay. This, don't worry, this Privy API program is not a production one. And I'm going to actually like replace it later. Just for you to know. Enter to catch you up. It should be working, yes. So, I'm gonna hit the reload. Maybe you're gonna see a little bit different screen. Yeah, because I have already done that. You probably see this screen. Let me maximize it. Like, it's not displayed or rendered anything. So the thing is like, you can open up your local host or either click this preview button. And when you do that, you're gonna see a different screen too. So I'm gonna show you the same screenshot. So either open up the localhost 4321 directly, or hit the preview button on the Storyblok UI. Then you probably see this screen on the browser. If anyone sees different screen, let me know. You see different? Okay.
I see different.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
Well, sorry.
Okay. Now I know. It's because on the first step, where we are going to create the new space, let me go to the different screen. You chose the demo space to create. So let me quickly like go back to this process. If you chose this one, then you're gonna see this space, you know, like demo you have. But if you choose this left-hand side, the new space, then you're gonna see the same screen with us. So probably create a new space with this process. So go back to the where you logged in, and then hit the green button, create a new space, and then choose this new space. Then the rest of the process is the same. So you can catch up us, you know, like by seeing the Notion now. Okay. All right. While you're catching up, if you need help, please let me know. And me and Josephine are here for helping you. So, okay. All right. So let me go back to the Notion, and when you see this screen, hit this. I guess it's see or show more advanced. And then when you click this part, then you can see this proceed to local. And when you hit this, then you're gonna see, actually like what is being rendered. So, minimize it. Then you should see this screen. And I'm also going to do that with you. And I believe that you're gonna see 404 actually at this point, right? I see a lot of logins. Yes, it is because there's a little configuration for routing. We need to do that because this is the post root page. So here on the visual editor of the Storyblok UI, on top of, like this screen, where it looks like a header navigation, you see 4 icons. And from right side, come 2 icons, and then there is the entry configuration. So when you hit it, and scroll all the way to down, and there is the real path that you can modify the route from this Storyblok UI. So here, what we are going to do is filling out with single /. And the reason is because if you don't do that, it's actually gonna return us with the path of localhost /home, which you don't want this, for your root page. And to prevent that, to eliminate this extra home, that's what we are going to modify on the editor. So hit the save and close button. And now, without loading it, you can see hello world. Yeah, I hope, yes, I hear you. Nice. I hope you all can see it. If you see something different screen, let me know. Me or Josephine would be happy to help you. Okay, I guess everyone see hello world, and in fact, already, there's already the real-time, like live editing feature implemented. To explain you this logic, I wish we could have more time, but for that, I think I'm just going to explain very quickly. So the reason why you have already the real-time visual editing implemented is because you installed our Storyblok Astro SDK, and this Storyblok Astro SDK does the magic. And to make this magic happen, you need to follow 3 steps, but these 3 steps, this create Storyblok, like CLI command already did all the job for you. So, congrats, you have already completed the part 1, almost, and you have successfully implemented the real-time visual editing feature. So we can focus on more for how the Astro works with Storyblok. So, let's go back to the Notion note. Yeah, here is the FAQ if you get stuck. And I think we want to move on more for more than environment variable stuff. So this you can actually have a look at the documentation from the Storyblok side and the Astro side. So I don't want to spend too much of the time for the environment variables, so just leave it as it is. But if you're interested in, after the workshop, you can always come back and configure it. Okay. So we are actually going to import so-called the component schema. The reason is because, when you already have the necessary components, like the teaser, grid, if you can just simply focus on the coding, it's easier, right? So to give you already, the set of the component schemas that you need to actually create on the Storyblok visual editor, I already made your life easier. So there is a CLI, Storyblok CLI command that you can just run. So I hope you open up this node in your environment and let's install the Storyblok CLI. And then after that, by executing one type of the command, then you have all the necessary components ready in your environment. So I would say first copy and paste this npm install Storyblok FMG. I would recommend you to install that in local. And then later on, if you succeed to install it, then you can log in from the command line terminal, and then you can use the Storyblok CLI. There's much more things you can do. Instead of just importing the schema or exporting it, but just to show you, the example how you can interact with our CLI I thought it's a good opportunity, plus we can save our time. Okay. I hope you all installed NPM. You installed the Storyblok CLI. Let me know if you need extra time or if you see something, error message. You see something? Okay, hold on. Okay. So after you installed our Storyblok CLI, by running npm install storyblok-g, then you can write this command, storyblok login. So when you execute this command, then it's going to ask you to log in from the terminal or the command line tool that you're using it. So you can decide if you want to select to log in with the email or the other method. And if you choose the email, then you can fill out the email address like this, the one you have found, Storyblok, and then you can fill out the password. It's not going to be difficult, so don't worry about it. And you can enter the region again. I guess we should stick to EU for today's workshop. Yeah, and then it will send you, like the confirmation code. If you have selected the, two-factor authentication method. If not, I guess it's not gonna ask you, but it's better to do that later in this workshop. And then later on, you can, finish the login. But if you see something error, means that you might have installed the Storyblok CLI before, and you have logged in long time ago. So if you see, like something error, I would recommend you to log out first by actually writing the Storyblok not login, but Storyblok logout, then try again Storyblok login. Then you should be able to log in. Okay. I'm gonna wait a little bit of more seconds if everyone is following. Is everyone following? So far clear? Okay, good. So now you logged in, and what I'm going to ask you is that, we are going to actually use this JSON file. So I hope you open up the Notion, like I'm showing you right now. And here at the components with this random number of the JSON file, you can click this file to install, import it, and then place it in anywhere you want. And from there, you can copy and paste this Storyblok CLI command and exchange the values to fit with your environment, such as after the push components, then here the component schema JSON file path, then it's going to be the path where you stored or imported your JSON file, the component file, this one. And then after that, there is this space flag, and then, sorry, I want to go back. Yes, I think we're back. Okay. Sorry about that.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is there no link or QR code for Notion? Because it was.
Okay. I'll get you the link. Or actually, this is the link. You can fill out. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. You joined 2 minutes after, so that's why. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't share it. My bad. So from here, you can have a Notion link and the GitHub report for the workshop. Okay. Awesome. I was here. No, sorry, I always wanted to scroll to the right side and it goes back. Okay, so here I'm not going to scroll. Here, after the space flag, where you see your target space ID, that's actually the ID numbers you need to fill in. And you can get this value from your Storyblok UI. Everything good? Everything good? Any questions? No? Okay. So, to get your space ID, I'm going to go back to the visual editor. And when you click this left arrow here, then you can go back to the previous screen where you were seeing all the sidebars and go into the settings, like all the way to the bottom from the sidebar. And then from here, when you have a look at on the second sidebar, there's access token. And when you go to the, sorry, not access token, my bad, visual editor, yes. Visual editor, or, no, sorry, it's about the space. Okay, so space, at the space ID, this is where you can get the space ID. You can, like take this copy or, just grab the value from here, just remove the shard. You're gonna see the shard after you paste it. It's just a number. So what you need is this 6 digits of numbers. So that's what you can replace in here. So after you replace the path to this, this. After you replace this, schema JSON files path, and your target space ID, which is the Storyblok space ID you just got. Yes.
Sorry, where can I see the schema JSON file path?
This one. Okay. It would be different depending on where you place the file. So if you place, for example, on desktop, then it's gonna be desktop / and the name of the JSON file name. If you download it, let's say in the very root, then it's gonna be just probably like dot / and then the name of the JSON file. If you're not sure, you can just drag the file onto the terminal. Then you can see, you can get actually the full path. Yeah. Any questions so far? Oh, good. Cool. So then you can execute this CLI command to, like push all the component schemas into your Storyblok, actually like app. So after that, I hope you can see all the components ready. Like, let's see. Okay. So if you go to like this dashboard screen, and when you go to the block library, then you're gonna see more numbers of the components than just 4. If you see only 4, let me know. Then me or Josephine can, come to help you. Everyone seeing more than 4 components? Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Good. So that's one of the examples you can, use the Storyblok CLI. And if we didn't use it, then we had to, manually click and then name the components, see if you're following, creating the correct field types or not, stuff like that. But yeah, we were able to save our time. So.
Oh, yes, sorry, if I have a bad pattern when I try to push components, what should I do?
Sorry, could you repeat?
I have bad pattern when I try to make this command with push components with my target space ID.
Quickly go.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries, no worries.
Yes, so something like this, like I have this number.
You can delete this chart.
Yeah. Yes, sorry.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, that's something you also prefer.
Sorry.
No, always good. Okay, so let me go back to the Notion notes. Okay, so here's the explanation of how dynamic components are interacting with, let's say, like from the source code level and then rendering back on the Storyblok UI. So if you open up the Astro topic .njs, I can actually close this already. This is the right one, I guess, yeah. It's a bit, and I'm going to open up Astro configuration file. So if you open up, everything is already configured for you because you use the shortcut. And when you scroll down, there is a component, like object, where you can see just 4 components per now. But these are the components that is already generated for you. But if you want to add more dynamic components based on the schema JSON file that we just pushed into our Storyblok app, that's the place where you can add it. And these are the names of the components that you can import from the source code and then render later on the Storyblok visualization. Okay, just quickly wanted to tell you the logic so that you know where to add the dynamic components. And later on, enabled, yes, so. Okay, these logics I also could explain, but to save our time because we have less than, or actually it's already 6 p.m. So I would recommend you to read about the logical part later, but let's move on to the handling part. So let's move on to the part 2, actually. So part 2 would be like, rendering the pages and stories dynamically. There is a file called inside of the source directory, inside of the pages, there is the index.astro. We want to rename this file actually to use the dynamic, routing, that is handled by Astro side. So to rename this index.astro, we are going to rename it to this. It's hard to say that in words, but with the spread operator and with the wrapper you have, with the slug, this slug is the parameter that you can catch all, dynamic slugs, and you don't need to create every single, route on your source code. Instead, by renaming index.astro file into so-called the capsule slug file name, then you'll be able to catch all slugs dynamically. So let me do that. So I'm going to rename this. Yes. So I hope you have the same with the square brackets. Now I remember the name. Yeah, square brackets, breaker, and then the slug. Then the logical part, I wish I could explain more, but I would recommend you to see that after the workshop. This is for Astro side to handle, the static paths when it comes to rendering the page statically, so that you can only ship the one, after you make the changes at once, not all the time, triggering, to render it. Okay, so part 2 is actually, that's it. And part 3 will be more on the Storyblok application UI, because we're going to make a dynamic menus. Means that right now on the visual editor, going from the content here, we don't have any errors. Oh, I think I wrote something because I didn't do something correctly. Let me see that. So I renamed the file. Because I didn't update the source code at all. So I would say that go to the GitHub repo for the workshop to be quicker. You can get the access from the link I shared in the beginning. So go to the GitHub repo and then change the branch name from wherever you were to part 2, and then inside of the source directory, inside of the pages directory, and then you have this dynamic routing slug Astro file. So I would say copy this and then paste it so that we can actually cover more important content in the further steps. Paste, yeah. Yeah, so that's at the top. Yeah, here. And that's what I was missing on here. So, save it. Let's see. Yeah, now it works. So we applied the static class API that is coming from part 3. And we are going to create one file under the directory of source, Storyblok, and then the name of the file is the config.astro. So I'm also going to create that. So source, and then there's the Storyblok. I'm going to close pages, open up Storyblok, and create config.astro. So, in here, what we are going to do is quite simple. So, again, go to the workshop repo, change the name of the branch to be part 3, because that's what we are going to start now. So, going to the branch name part 3. And then, inside of the source directory, and the Storyblok, not in the pages, Storyblok. So there is the config.astro. So we're going to open it up, and that's it. Yeah, no joke. It's really, that's it. Because what we are going to modify is more on the Storyblok UI side. So we are not going to do like hard work or heavy lifting on the source code, because that's not what we want. We want our, let's say like non-developer users, like often editors, to modify, the header content. That's why, just div. So I think I'm going to in case copy and paste because I tend to do the typos a lot. So save it, and then let's have a look at the next step on the Notion page. And we are going to, configure. Yes, because we created one extra component file. So we are going to configure the Astro configuration file, but we're not making mistakes because we don't want to go too much over time. Going back to the GitHub, the workshop repo. Go back to the previous, like the root, where you see the Astro config MJS file. So this is the configuration file. We want to copy and paste to be quick. So go here and here, copy and paste. But the point is, it's just like adding this config line. So where I explained, like before, this is, like we can add the additional dynamic component. So just simply copy this one line, or if you want to be really short, then you can copy the entire thing. And then go to the configuration file of Astro here, and I'm actually going to add here. That's it. So we have added the dynamic component on the Astro configuration file. And I hope everyone is following. If you still need time, let me know. Okay, I see no names. So, going back to the Notion to double check. And there's one more dynamic component we want to add, which is called header. So, what we are going to do is, I hope now you see the routine of mine. Go back to the GitHub repo. And then there is